Niagara Ice Dogs. Connor McDavid, gracious enough to join us here. And Connor, you're off to a great start. This kind of the way you had hoped your draft year would start off?
Yeah, kind of. You work hard all summer long so you can have a good start, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that.
And the Erie Otters certainly off to an equally good start. You guys got to have an eye on a potential playoff run this year.
Yeah, of course. Coming off the season we had last year, even though we lost a couple of our star players, we had some guys come back, and we had some good free agent signings, and a couple good draftees. So we have a good squad here, and we're really looking to make a run here.
And what do you got to do when you come into a new building like this? You maybe got to know the old building pretty good because you guys were in a lot into the old building here. But when you come into a new building, what are you looking for to try and figure out the angles and so on?
Just kind of like any other rink, you're just kind of feeling it out and seeing kind of the spacing out here. And it is obviously a little bit different than the old Jack. And the old Jack was pretty small, but it's a beautiful facility, and I'm sure the dogs are happy here.
Well, Connor, thanks for doing this, and best of luck to you and the Erie Otters the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot.
Connor McDavid and the Erie Otters, a 2-1 lead through 20 minutes of play. When we come back after the break, we'll have some highlights and analysis with Steve and Ed. Stay with us. You're watching the OHL tonight on TV Cogeco. Center in St. Catharines, Al Galloway, Ed Burkholder, Steve Foxcroft, our entire TV Cogeco team. Glad to have you on board for the Plymouth Whalers and the Niagara Ice Dogs. Alex Nedeljkovic gets the start in goal for the Whalers with a 3.30 goals against and a 908 save percentage. 3 shutouts to show on the season, though. And down at the other end of the rink for the Niagara Ice Dogs, it's Brandon Hope. And this overager has been a leader for this hockey club. 275 goals against and a 916 save percentage, 1 shutout. In fact, I believe that, Ed, was his first game as an Ice Dog that he got that shutout. The officials tonight, you'll see Ben Wilson and Steve Pico as the referees. Ryan Holmstead and Ryan Wilson will work the lines as they are getting set here for puck drop. Paquette will go to center for the Ice Dogs. And for the Plymouth Whalers, it's Francesco Velarde will go against Chris Paquette as they're getting the last of the red carpets off the ice, and we are just about ready now for puck drop here in St. Catharines. And from the draw, it's all tied up in a scrum initially, and they're still trying to pry it loose. And finally, the Whalers will spring it into Ice Dogs territory, and back goes Siebenaller now. And he's hit in there. Big hit by Danny Vanderweel of the Plymouth Whalers. So that'll set the tone for the evening. Roughing the call to both of them. So we got a little 4-on-4 hockey out there. Some extra room. Jones pulls in from the point. Rings it off the iron.
He had it. He had the hole.
Jones just dishes it back in there again, and he'll get it back on the point one more time. Steered back of the net, and now Perlini out there with Verhaeghe in this 4-on-4 situation. Verhaeghe was ready to spring it loose, but couldn't get to him. Now he's got it. Perlini's in behind everybody, but Verhaeghe couldn't feed him the puck.
Tried to saucer it up through the middle.
Here's Campana. He's got a goal tonight. He's knocked down right in the slot. Whalers taking the play to the Ice Dogs in this 4-on-4 situation. Now here's Brendan Perlini for Verhaeghe on the right-hand side. Leaves it for Hayden. Milano now being watched up there by Siebenaller, and now he blows a tire. He gets right back on his feet, though, and Hosang leaves it for Hagee, gives it back for Josh Hosang. Behind the net, Kukurudo stays right with him. Couple of nifty moves by Hosang. Siebenaller pulls in from the point, lets it go point blank, and Nedeljkovic, big save. Hosang! Siebenaller scores! make that number 8 on the season for Blake Siebenaller. Minute 40 left in the man advantage now. Payne gets it in for Verhaeghe. He's got Knott and Payne going to the goal. Verhaeghe takes his time. Perlini scores! Great pass by Carter Verhaeghe. Center in downtown St. Catharines. It's time once again for End-to-End Rush. Hi everyone, I'm Al Galloway along with Steve Clark, Ed Burkholder, and our entire TV Cogeco team. Glad to have you on board for the hockey game tonight between the Sarnia Sting and the Niagara Ice Dogs. But before we get there, we're going to talk about this game and about what's led up to this game this week, because it's been quite the week for the Niagara Ice Dogs. They were 2-13 heading into the week, but now they head into tonight's action with a pair of big wins under their belt. 5-2 on Thursday night at home over the Erie Otters, who had been something of a juggernaut so far this season. Heading into that game, they'd only lost once, and that was in a shootout. So the Ice Dogs managed to hand them their first regulation loss of the season. The Sting coming in on the heels of a 5-2 loss in Erie last night as the Otters rebounded following the game here in Niagara. And the Ice Dogs, meanwhile, well, it was a big victory in Mississauga last night. And let's get to the highlights of that game right now so we can catch up on what happened at the Hershey Center. Well, you got to see a 3-0 win at the Hershey Center by the Ice Dogs last night. A great way to follow up that big 5-2 win with the Erie Otters. And Ed Burkholder, was there ever a better way for Brandon Hope to break into the Niagara Ice Dogs organization than by posting the goose egg at the Hershey Center last night?
First shutout of the year last night for the Ice Dogs. It was nice to see it on the road, Al.
Thanks very much, guys. We're going to take a timeout, but we've got lots more to come. Stay with us, because when we come back after the break, we're going to talk to Marty Williamson about the game tonight and a bunch of other things. Stay with us. You're watching End-to-End Rush right here on TV Cogeco. Welcome back to End-to-End Rush from the Meridian Center in St. Catharines. Al Galloway, Steve Clark, Ed Burkholder, and our entire TV Cogeco team on hand. A little bit later, we'll see the Sarnia Sting take on the Niagara Ice Dogs. The Dogs trying to make it 3 wins in 3 nights. The Sting trying to go 1-1 for their weekend following a loss last night in Erie. Now, let's get a chance to, I had a chance rather, to talk to Marty Williamson just prior to the game tonight. And we had a chance to talk about a wide range of topics, but starting with what it's like to break that ice and get a couple of big wins. And let's go to that conversation right now with Marty Williamson, and it's coming off the heels of a couple of big games as we head into the third game in 3 nights. Marty, it's kind of nice to see some good news heading into a game for a change.
Well, it's nice to see some smiles even this morning, with our guys coming in for the stretch and that, a little more jump in their stride, and they worked hard, and you want to get rewarded. We thought there were some games along the way that we could have won, and we just found a way to lose them, and now we've won some games, so we're feeling a little better about ourselves.
What was it like heading into the Erie game for the guys, knowing Erie had been such a juggernaut, only the one loss in a shootout going into that game? What was it like for them going into the game, and how do you think they held it together like that for 60 minutes?
Well, I actually think as a coach it's easier to get guys ready for games like that because they know they don't want to get embarrassed in front of our rink here. We knew it was going to be a big crowd and we don't want to be embarrassed. So I thought the focus was very good. The interesting thing is how they continue on, and I thought they backed it up with a good Mississauga performance, and then 3-3 is tough no matter who you play, and it'll be interesting tonight that if we can hold it together with our structure and then keep our energy up. That'll be the big test for us. But against Erie we played 60 minutes and we had a great goaltender performance and we killed penalties very well, and we kind of checked all the boxes on. We didn't want to take so many penalties, but at least we killed them off.
And how important was it to follow it up last night in Mississauga with the game you guys played and get the shutout?
Well, to me, that was the big key. And again, Hoper gave us a real good effort in there. But, we scored 2 goals in the first period, which kind of, we haven't been able to do that. We've been coming out, playing pretty good first periods, but always on the losing end. And, to come out with Hoper to shut the door and for us to get 2, it gives you a little more comfort to play your game. And I thought we continued, again, a little penalty trouble in the second period. And, we got to watch that, especially tonight with our energy being down a little bit. We got to watch that we stay out of the box against this Sarnia team.
How important was it for Brandon and the team to post that shutout last night in Brandon's first game?
Well, I think when new players come to a team, they always want to make an impact. And I thought he was outstanding in the Erie game. Just some of the things he said, in between periods, we were kind of happy with how we were playing, and he told the guys, don't be too happy. We got a big job in front of us. We haven't won anything yet. So to be able to come out and talk like that as a new player in a room, you give him a lot of credit. But then to back it up with a great performance, that even gives him more credibility. And losing Merce, we lost a big part of our leadership group. And, it's nice to see Hoper. Maybe he can fill that in for us.
And comment, if you can, on the condition of Luke Mercer as he comes out of the operation earlier this week.
Yeah, he had a surgery, and there was obviously a significant knee injury. So, a miracle recovery is like 3 months, and the norm is 4 to 6 months, which puts him in a lot of trouble to get back for this season. But we won't make that decision until January. The doctors have kind of told us they won't be able to gauge how fast he's coming back until about a month into his recovery, and then they'll kind of know where he's at, if he's into for 6 months, or if possible, it could be quicker than that. So, we'll make that call at the January 10th deadline when we got to make a decision to get down to 3 overages.
And Perlini and Mantha, how far away are we with these gentlemen?
Perlini flies to Arizona on Monday to get checked out. If he's cleared to play, he flies back here on Wednesday, and then he's cleared to practice, and I would imagine another week from then, and he's ready to play. Mantha's still a work in progress. The shoulder seems to be totally healed. The back is some issue now. He hurt his back in practice, and it keeps locking up on him, and we can't quite get him healthy right now. So, we're going to take our time and not bring him back early and, kind of have a long-term injury. We've got to just suck it up right now.
And last but not least, you got Sarnia tonight. What's the game plan?
Well, they've got some real nice offensive players. They're in the top 10 in scoring. Their power play's 10th. So, for us, that's going to be the interesting thing to me. The attention to detail, to have structure, and not let these guys wheel. D'Angelo's a wonderful defenseman that loves to move up and down the ice. Karatsev and Zaka, they've got some real high-end talent, and, we need to be solid. Our defensemen have been really good on our one-on-ones. I thought they did a great job against Erie. Similar type offensive team. Obviously, McDavid is a little bit different, but, Erie's got nice offense like Sarnia, so we need to be able to contain that and then score some goals.
Marty, thanks for doing this and best of luck.
No problem. Thanks, Al.
Well, a wide range of topics in the discussion with Marty Williamson, guys, and what do you take from those comments, particularly in light of all the comments that have been made on the injury situation that these dogs have faced this year?
Well, it really is a good news, bad news situation, isn't it?